Hello everyone, my name's Eric and I'm the Keto NP. In today's video, we'll be talking about what is keto, what are macronutrients, and what's the difference between ketosis and ketoacidosis. Let's start by defining keto. Keto, or ketosis, is a metabolic state wherein the body is reliant on fat for fuels rather than glucose for fuels. We enter this state by depriving our body of dietary carbohydrates that would otherwise break down as glucose to be utilized as energy. In metabolic ketosis, our body starts to produce a ketone body in the liver known as beta-hydroxybutyric acid. This is where this diet gets its name. While we often see the ketogenic diet used as a weight loss method, it actually started as an anti-epileptic diet to treat individuals who were resistant to anti-seizure medications. Oftentimes these were children with childhood epilepsy who had been trialed on numerous medications but were failing those therapies and continuing to have seizures. Over the years, the weight loss benefit of this diet was noted in obese and overweight patients, and it was applied as a weight loss method but noted to have even further benefits that we'll talk about in another video. So ketosis, the metabolic state that we're trying to get into, is achieved, as I said, by reducing dietary carbohydrates that would otherwise be utilized as your primary energy source. When we do this, your body seeks to burn off stored fat, fat that you're eating in the form of dietary fat, and fat that you're generating in the form of cholesterol. Entering this metabolic state can take a different length of time for different individuals, dependent on your underlying metabolism. However, people generally are able to get into ketosis within about 1 to 2 weeks. Within the first 1 to 2 weeks, you may experience symptoms often referred to as the keto flu. The keto flu is a cluster of symptoms that are very flu-like in nature, hence its name, that typically include symptoms such as fatigue, dizziness, lightheadedness, headaches, and other such symptoms often associated with the flu. However, the keto flu is not actually a viral illness like the flu. This typically occurs because your fluid electrolyte balance is abnormal. Why would your fluid electrolyte balance be abnormal? Well, when you get into ketosis, this causes a diuretic effect on the body, meaning you end up eliminating excess water that your body was holding on to. With that excess water will go electrolytes such as potassium, magnesium, and sodium. By supplementing these electrolytes in your diet, you'll likely avoid these keto flu symptoms. If you still continue to have symptoms, you may want to talk to your primary care provider about checking your labs and making sure that these electrolytes and all your other lab values are normal. Within the ketogenic community, it's pretty common to hear the word macronutrients used. Macronutrients are simply a term to describe where all your calories are coming from. Think of it as a stepwise approach to your food. Everything starts under the umbrella of calories. Calories are then divvied up to different sources of calories. Those three sources are fats, the one we want the most of, protein, the one we only want a moderate amount of, and carbohydrates, the ones we want the very least of. So again, macronutrients are the breakdown of your caloric sources. This diet is defined as a high-fat diet with moderate to moderately low amounts of protein dictated by things like your activity level, age, weight, gender, body fat percentage, and pre-existing metabolic conditions. Carbohydrates are very, very low. So again, high fat, moderately low protein, very low carbohydrate. Now why is this diet defined that way? The idea is to deprive your body of glucose so you don't have a readily available energy source, but instead have to break something else down for energy. Fat, which we have stored in our body, as well as being ingested within our diet, is able to go through lipolysis in order to be broken down as an energy source. Certain types of fats are also very readily turned into beta-hydroxybutyric acid by the liver and used in their ketone forms by the body. So how about ketoacidosis? What's that, and why do the two sound so similar? Well, despite the two sounding similar, they are very dissimilar from one another. Ketosis, again, is an intentional metabolic state that we are achieving through our diet by manipulating our macronutrients. Ketoacidosis is a product of a disturbance to the acid-base balance of the body, typically brought on by an excess of dietary carbohydrates that break down as glucose. There are two terms that are often just referred to as DKA, or diabetic ketoacidosis. The first is DKA, and the second is HHNK, also known as hyperosmolar hyperglycemic non-ketotic syndrome. For the purpose of this discussion, we're going to stick with DKA. Diabetic ketoacidosis, as the name implies, is specific to diabetic patients. People with diabetes are at an increased risk for DKA simply because their body does not handle glucose and insulin correctly. In type 1 diabetic patients, their pancreas is not making enough insulin-secreting beta cells in order to keep up with the metabolic demands of glucose metabolism. As such, these individuals often have to give themselves injectable insulin because their body is not making enough. This allows them to break down the glucose to either store it, use it, or eliminate it. In the case of diabetic ketoacidosis, the body is actually trying to eliminate glucose because there is too much floating throughout the bloodstream. When this happens, it also pulls other electrolytes as well as water through the kidneys to be eliminated as urine. That further disrupts the acid-base balance of the body, leading to something known as a widened anion gap, which is noted in your metabolic panel when you're in the hospital. These patients often have symptoms like fatigue, headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, lethargy, and may have a loss of consciousness. People can even die from DKA if it is severe enough. So, if people can die from DKA, why would we want to put people into ketosis? Is that not similar? As I said before, the two are very dissimilar, even though they sound similar in name. People who go into DKA start out by having a very, very high blood glucose level. Because they don't have the ability to metabolically deal with that high glucose level, their body starts to try to excrete that extra glucose in their urine, starting the cascade of events that leads to DKA. Individuals with a normal metabolic system are able to typically deal with the metabolic demands of glucose metabolism. However, excessive glucose intake in all individuals is still discouraged. Ketosis, the metabolic state, is not precipitated by high blood sugars. In fact, high blood sugars will actually impair your ability to get into metabolic ketosis. The restriction of dietary carbohydrates is what allows us to get into metabolic ketosis so that our body will start looking for a different fuel source other than glucose. Our body does diurese, similar to those who are in DKA, but at a much lower extreme, and this allows our body to offload the extra fluids that are being held by our adipocytes or fat cells. This is the water weight loss you hear during the initial portion of your weight loss. Now, this isn't to be discounted just because it's water weight, because those pounds in water help to hold open your fat cells so that they can be primed for fat storage later. So this diuretic process is important to our long-term weight loss goals. Metabolic ketosis is split up into 3 different categories: nutritional ketosis, optimal ketosis, and therapeutic ketosis. These levels are defined by the numbers that you see here. Now, why would you want to get into one level versus another? Typically, people who are trying to get into ketosis for weight loss are going to stick here, in the nutritional ketosis range. From the research that's available on the ketogenic diet, there is no known benefit of entering these higher levels in order to achieve improved weight loss. So why do these exist, and why do we bother defining them differently? They're defined differently because you may achieve different benefits from being in these levels. With nutritional ketosis, the primary goal is weight loss. With optimal ketosis, your primary goal may be maintenance of weight loss, as well as improved health benefits in other areas, such as reduced inflammation, continued diuresis, and stabilization of certain hormones. In the therapeutic ketosis range, we're looking for a different type of benefit. Researchers are typically trying to get individuals to this level in order to see its impact on certain specific health conditions. This has been cited in research looking at hormone stabilization, augmentative therapies for cancer, and other research trials. While some individuals who follow a ketogenic diet try to live in this range for weight loss benefit, again, there is no research that shows that you have improved weight loss at therapeutic ketosis levels than you do at nutritional ketosis levels. So, if your goal is weight loss, try to stick at nutritional or higher. And if your goal is to have a therapeutic benefit, as the name implies, you'll be shooting for around the therapeutic level. I hope this video was informative for you all. If you have questions about what is ketosis, how it differs further from ketoacidosis, or why you might want to hit these different levels of ketosis, please feel free to ask questions in the comments below, or follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Keto for Carboholics. Thank you, and we'll catch you next time.